So today we're going to be adding and subtracting fractions. Do you all know how to add and subtract fractions? Hopefully. Andale. Hopefully you do remember how to add and subtract fractions, but we are going to actually be doing adding and subtracting positive slash negative fractions. So what I taught you towards like the beginning of the school year when it came to like negative numbers, we're going to apply it to fractions. Okay. So the easy fractions that you've learned like when you first started learning how to do fractions was like maybe like it said 3/10 plus 4/10. Do you guys remember doing those like way back in the day? And our answer would be 7/10, right? And the teacher's like, don't add the denominators, right? You guys did that. Hopefully no one in this classroom wrote 20. Okay. And then next level you guys learned was maybe like 1/5 plus 2/3. Do you guys remember doing those? Yeah. What do we have to do when it's 1/5 plus 2/3? What do we first have to do?
Times 5 times 3.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, you're one of those students. I see. Okay. Hold that thought. You have to find a common denominator. So our common denominator is 15. Do you guys remember how to find 15? I mean, Jaime said multiply the 5 and the 3. That's one way of doing it. It is a right way of doing it, but I'll show you a different way of doing it that might be easier or harder, depending on your math levels. So then we go, okay, 5 times what is 15? So times 3. 1 times what is 15 times 3? So this becomes 3/15. And then 3 times what is 15 times 5 times 5. So 2 times 5 is 10. So now that you have common denominators, we add your numerators. 3 plus 10 is 13/15. And that's what we do. We always find common denominators. If they're already the same, woo, yay, piece of cake. If they're not the same, then you find a common denominator, right? Okay. I'm curious to see how would you do this problem then? 3/4 minus 1/6. How would you find the common denominator from 4 and 6? How many of you say it's 24? How many have a different number other than 24? What'd you guys get?
Wow.
Okay, good. So my fear when you said multiply 5 and 3, I was like, oh no, because there's some teachers that go like, some teachers teach you just multiply the bottom numbers. Just multiply the bottom numbers. That's your common denominator. And it's true you can, but you don't get the least common denominator. And sometimes you'll end up with like really big, horrible numbers. So our common denominator is 12. Okay, how do I get 12? For those of you who are like, how in the world did she get 12? I'll go over this a lot slower with period 2. So if you want to watch their video, you can. But basically, you just start multiplying by 4s and 6. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 6, 12, 18. You're like, oh, look, they have 12 in common. That's why it's called a common denominator, because they have 12 in common. That was my quick review of 5th grade, I think. So then you ask yourself, 4 times what is 12? Times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 6 times what is 12? Times 2 times 2. 1 times 2 is 2. So whatever you do to the bottom number, you got to do to the top number. Some students forget and they'll just carry these numbers over. They'll be like, oh, it's a 3. Let's keep it a 3. And it's like, no. Do not. It will change. If your denominators change, your numerators will change. And since this is a subtraction, we go 9 minus 2. That gives you 7. Your denominator stays the same. Do not do anything with your denominators. Okay? So this is when you first learn fractions, right? And then these two are like next level adding and subtracting fractions, but totally not 7th grade. So this is still, I'm just reviewing with you what you should have learned in previous math courses. Okay? We're okay so far? Common denominators are your best friends. Now let's do some 7th grade. Yay! Okay. Your original problem would be, let's see, negative 2/5 plus 1/8. Now, they're usually written horizontal. I'm not a fan of that. I'm a fan. Now, you can do whatever which way you want, but you have to show work. Boy, if you just sit there and just go, oh, my answer is blank, I'm not going to give you any credit. I'm not going to give you any credit. So I need to see how you change to common denominators. So I personally like to write them vertically. If you want to keep it horizontal, you can, but I like to do it vertically. I'm not going to force you to do it. I already forced you enough with the draw your bar, show your work. But I do need to see how you change them. I do need to see that. I do need to see, like, oh, my new denominator is 40, Miss O'Malley. Okay, cool. I need to see how you changed this and you carried the negative with you. So because this is a negative, it stays with it. So it's a negative 16 over 40. And then this is 5, right? Times 5 times 5. So then you ask yourself, okay, it's negative 16 over 40 plus 5 over 40. So you go back to your rules of adding. Do you add or do you subtract? You subtract. Yep, you subtract because the signs are different. This is a negative and this is a positive. So you're going to subtract. You get 11. Now, do you have more negatives or do you have more positives? I have 16 negatives, so we're going to put a negative. And then my denominator stays exactly the same. So the answer would be negative 11 over 40. So you would, if you want to do that, that's fine. But warning, warning, warning. Sound the alarms. If you just, in your classwork, you just do this, you write this and you just tell me the answer and you don't show me any work, I don't show you any points. You see how that works? You see? No work, no points. Simple. I like that. You don't show me work, I don't show you points. Oh, it's a good one. If I had a mic, I would drop it. I do have a mic actually, but I'm not going to drop it. It costs a lot of money. $20. There you go. Drop your pencils. So there it is. Are you okay? So, and then let's say I have the problem. Let's see, 7 over 9 minus a negative 1/4. I write them horizontal because that's how you're going to see them on your paper or in your class. Mic drop. Yeah. Okay. So, what do you want to do? Well, it's a subtraction sign and it's a negative. So when you see subtraction and a negative, you know Miss Lamelli's angry. She's just angry. She's just plus it's Monday, so super angry. All right. So this goes back to, oh, Miss Lamelli, so sad. So very, very sad. So very sad. So it would be 7/9. Subtraction sign turns into addition. And then what is the opposite of negative 1/4? Would be 1/4. Yeah. So what starts off being a subtraction sign when we're subtracting a negative ends up just being 7/9 plus 1/4. Another important reason why we show work, we go like, wait a minute. If it's 7/9 minus negative 1/4, we have to change it, right? Because this makes the subtraction sign makes Miss Lamelli super sad. And then you have to do the opposite. I got a mic. All right, what's our common denominator between 9 and 4? What's our least common denominator? That's the hardest part, I think, finding your common denominator. 36. I like it, Sean. 36. 36. So we have a common denominator of 36, and then you go, okay, 9 times what is 36? Times 4. 7 times 4 is 28. So 4 times 9 is 36, so I got to multiply the top by 9, I get 9. Then I add. There's no more negatives, I just add. Simple. I get 37 over 6. Does anybody remember what you call a fraction that looks like 37 over 6, where your numerator is, what is it?
Improper fraction?
Yep, improper fraction. So this is called an not a deformed, not a deformed fraction. It's called an improper fraction. We are going to turn it into a mixed number. So who can tell me what the mixed number is going to be? That's one way of telling me. Yeah. So it'd be 1 and 136. So this one's called a mixed number because it's a mixture of a fraction and a whole number. This is called an improper fraction. It's not proper. It's improper because your numerator is bigger than your denominator. So that's called an improper fraction. And this one's called a mixed number because it mixes everything together. All right. Are we okay so far? So far, so good? All right. I am recording this. It will be posted onto YouTube later. So if you want me to, if you miss something, if you miss my jokes, go back. My sarcasm, everything. It's all there for you. It's all for you guys. What's a denominator? What's a good, oh, you know what? How about that? How about that? How about that? Negative 2/7 minus 3/2, 3/2. So I look at my original problem and I go, okay, this one stays exactly the same. So I put it down. Subtraction sign turns into an addition sign. And then the second fraction, which is an improper fraction, you change it to its opposite. Don't change this to a mixed number. Only do that with your answers. But if it's if it's like this, you just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. All right. Common denominator would be 14, right? And then carry those negatives with you. Do not ignore the negatives. They stay with you forever. Not really. Times 2 times 2 gives you 4, times 7 gives you 21. So I have negative 4 plus negative 21 gives you negative 25 over 14, which is equal to what? Equal to what? Anybody out there with an answer? Anybody? No. Oh, what? Yes, maybe. So if you don't know how to get mixed numbers, all we're doing is we're dividing with remainders. This is the only time we like remainders in 7th grade. So 14 goes into 25 one time. That's 14. And then you subtract this, you get 11. Now we like remainders here. This is the only time we like remainders. So this number is your whole number. That's your big one. Your remainder becomes your numerator, and your denominator, it stays the same. Okay, so our mixed number would be, oh, forgot, negative. Don't forget the negative. Gosh, that's going to, don't forget those negatives. Negative 1 and 11/14. All right. So are there any questions in general? All right. So reminder, you probably might need to go back to way back in the days for adding integers, which were done when we were so young. We were so young back then. We were kids. September 16th, we learned the rules for adding integers. If they're the same, you add and keep. If they're different, you subtract. So you might need to go back to September 16th and review how to add integers, which means adding negative numbers. And that's what you're going to be using for today. All right.